Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Dungeons and Dopamine.
Hi, welcome to episode 94 of Dungeons and Dopamine. I'm Brie.
I'm Jess.
And this is, damn it.
You gave it your best shot. You got the number right.
That's really all I was aiming for.
It's a good start.
Keeping the bar really low today.
Under promise and over deliver.
That should be our motto.
It's my motto. Every moment of my life.
Can you make that for the Comic-Con?
Instead of just enough to be dangerous,
It just says,
under promise, over deliver.
people will love it.
Well,
It makes
yeah.
us seem so great.
It makes us seem really charitable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we're here. We're recording again.
Live. Well,
But we're
no.
also together.
We're visual.
We're
again,
visual.
And together this
Yeah.
time. So I'm not in my weird, creepy troll cave.
Which
Where I'm
actually
being blinded the whole time. So I keep
was
doing this.
really fun, and it's really nice to know that we can record that way in
Yes,
case we
absolutely.
get sick or just like literally don't feel like leaving the house that day. I don't ever have to leave my house that day, but yeah, we do have to work on your sitting position
Yes.
and
my camera position and my
Exactly.
light position.
I mean, we kind of have to here as well. I mean, it actually frames this like
It's perfect.
perfectly,
Ta-da.
but
But
like,
I
we
want to
have
look there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's there.
Exactly. So we just have to have Ryan move the computer screen here. Not that I couldn't, but I won't.
But we're past that.
Exactly.
It's too late for that.
too
We
late
can't
for
go
that.
back now.
That is nonsense. Ryan is our tech guy. He has to move it himself.
We can't let Brie touch the tech.
No.
I slidered at Disney. Did I tell you?
No. What did you
I
break
took
at
down their
Disney
whole
World?
system. We were at Magic Kingdom and we had bought our lightning lanes ahead of time. And then Alice decided, kind of last minute, that she was going to join us at the park that day.
Nice.
And she had bought her ticket through the resort we were at. So we got there and I went to guest services. And because Disney's awesome, I just asked them like, hey, I have a party of 7, but I only got 6 of us on the lightning lane. Can we add her? And they're like, yeah, no problem. And the girl's name was Abby, which was already making me happy because we lost our Abby.
Yep.
And she's like, okay, well, that's $27 or whatever it is to pay for the lightning lane. And I'm like, okay, well, I have this. It's like a Disney Rewards redemption card
Nice.
from my credit card. And there's $60 on it. She's like, okay, so I go to scan that and it won't read. And I'm like, well, that's fair. Like, I had trouble using it on the website, so it must be a problem with the card. I'll try some. Or it was like, so I have cash. And she was like, oh, it's kind of a process to accept cash here because it's guest services. It's not like out in the park.
Right.
Do you have anything else? And I'm like, well, yeah, I've got like a vanilla Visa gift card that's part of how we saved money to go to Disney is we had these gift cards. She's like, okay. So I swipe that. And that doesn't work. I'm like, well, I swear that was the one with the money on it, but maybe I have the wrong gift card. So I'll use this gift card, which was a Disney gift card that had $50 on it that I knew because it was Connor's and he hadn't spent any of it yet. So I was like, well, I have this Disney gift card. That has to work, right? And she's like, oh, I'm sure it will. And I scanned it and it did not work. And she's like, it must be our system. I guess our system's down. And I was like, sure, I'm sure that's the reason. She goes, you know what? I'll just take care of that for you. You guys go have a great day and enjoy and don't worry about it. So
your sliderness came in handy.
yeah, we got pixie
but-
dusted. We got a free lightning lane. I put in a cast compliment for her because she was so
Nice,
sweet
yes.
about it.
Good job.
Thanks. Thanks.
You broke Magic Kingdom.
Broke magic. I took Disney down with my slider ability. But
What was the ride?
Tron.
Nice. Did Connor like Everest?
We rode it 3 times. He still says it's his favorite ride.
Good choice, Connor. Good choice.
See.
Did you guys ride Rise?
Yes.
Amazing.
I did love that one
so
too.
good. That's my favorite ride at Disney World is Rise.
That was a good
and
one.
then followed very closely by Tower of Terror.
Yeah,
And Everest. I love Everest, too.
because Tower of Terror will always terrify me. Like through my whole adrenaline system, out of control. I couldn't even eat dinner that night.
no.
It was awful and wonderful at the same time.
That's like New York when you couldn't eat that burger.
Oh,
those burgers
I still
were so
think
good.
about that burger.
I don't blame you. It was so good.
It came up in my memories the other day, the New York trip, and there was a picture of it, and I was like,
it was
that burger.
That whole restaurant was delicious.
Mm-hmm.
That whole restaurant.
We ate all of it.
It licked all of the walls.
New York kicked us
that's
out.
Gonna be a great clip. I licked all of the walls.
New York asked us to leave.
We can't go back to New York.
They were like, "Can you please take her home?"
I'm holding a chair.
I have to try everything, or it's not a good review.
Part of the experience.
No, if you had waited and done it at the Tim Burton bar,
Right,
you
it
probably would have
been
been
okay.
fine. I mean, much less.
It would have been more
Sanitary,
awkward because I was
but-
dressed up really fancy.
That's true.
Like a sparkly dress on and everything, and
You're just licking walls.
Jack Skellington on the wall.
That's a great one to have visual for, too.
I was just gonna say, I think we should stop recording.
No more visual. This is not what we signed up for.
Yes.
We have voices for radio. Faces
Faces
for radio.
for radio. Voices sounds too complimentary.
Right?
Okay, yes. So I did get a lot of clips. I've been sharing them over the last few weeks of us from the last time we recorded, which, no, just a week ago.
Yeah.
But I got
Like, you've been sharing those even longer than they've existed.
I am that good. It's from all the licking. Is this turning into Dungeons and Dopamine After Dark?
There's just a certain point that we have to just switch it over.
It's like we get one F word every. But if
Yep.
there's more, it's Dungeons and Dopamine After Dark. I did want to point out that in our most recent episode that we know just got put out, but will have been older by the time this comes out. Time travel's weird.
But we're trying to keep it straight.
We're trying to keep it together. We talked about making the Dogman of Michigan. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I am a liar.
I'm quitting. I refuse to work with a liar.
Your job or with me? Because...
Well, both? Why not both?
Why not both? So, okay, no, I am a liar, and it was episode 77, which is long gone.
Right?
We're on 94. It's almost 20 away.
But
I might be a liar, but I
super
can
recently.
math. We talked about making a movie,
Mm-hmm.
The Dogman of Michigan, brought to you by Dungeons and Dopamine Podcast. And we're going to record in our woods. I made a cartoon about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that Hank is not only on board, but has the equipment we need to record our movie.
He has produced a whole movie. He's like a professional.
This is going to be amazing.
A producer, director, actor. He's really the total package. We're lucky to have him involved.
Thanks, Hank. We appreciate your free time.
And your enthusiasm.
Your enthusiasm shocks me. That's a Gilmore Girls quote.
I did not place that. Good job.
It's a very popular quote in this household.
That also does not surprise me at all.
I don't feel good about it, but it is true. So, transition.
Oh, yeah.
I actually don't know your topic, so I can't transition for you. But we could go from Hank to...
You know what Hank brings to this world?
What?
So much sunshine.
Hank is sunshine.
That's probably partially true.
I'm in.
My computer won't start, so I can't tell you any of my topics.
Talk about Hank and sunshine.
That's it. That's the whole episode. So, transition. In the wise words of They Might Be Giants, the sun is a mass of incandescent gas, a gigantic nuclear furnace. And also, the sun is hot. The sun is not a place where we could live. But here on Earth, there'd be no life without the light it gives.
I'm really disappointed you didn't sing it. However,
I thought it would be more powerful spoken.
There is power in the spoken word.
It's like a poetry reading about how important it is to us.
I don't have a poem ready. Once upon a midnight dreary.
The only poem I've ever memorized.
I knew one for theater once. About
Probably.
Little Willie something. It was you and I.
Oh, with the,
Yeah.
it was like a
Winky Willie.
wee Willie Winky in his nightgown.
That was a weird
God.
skit.
Oh, we had it was like a whole fairy tale skit.
Yeah, like back and forth with each other, and
like
then
Humpty Dumpty, and now I want to say like Wee Willy Wonka. That's obviously wrong.
Willy Wonka, still had a baby one.
In a nightgown. Gosh, I forgot about. I remember the Breakfast Club.
Of course. Anyway,
Yeah. So
speaking of Breakfast Club,
we
sorry.
did have.
Speaking of They Might Be Giants,
Yes. Quit stealing my spoken word thunder.
it's Sunder.
Sunder. Thank you. So yeah, my topic's about the sun.
Me.
Jessica and Hank.
I actually think I'm a dream. That's what I have a clip of me saying I'm a dream and then doing this.
You just take all my topics and make them about you. I'm gonna do something weird next week.
Ryan Reynolds and Applebee. Two of my favorite things.
Yes. So anyway, if you want to know all the science about the sun, I do recommend the song Why Does the Sun Shine by They Might Be Giants. It is a great refresher and great song for your 8-year-old if he wants to know about the sun.
I suggest you just listen to They Might Be Giants.
In general, yeah.
Finn.
You can learn about Cowtown and the sun, and
Birdhouses
Particle
in
Man.
your soul.
It's really moving music. So the sun is obviously the star in the center of our solar system. It's really big and it's really hot, but it's just the right distance from Earth to keep us the right temperature and provide light and heat and energy for our food and our plants and other life-sustaining things. It also plays a part in our seasons, our weather, our climate, and the tides. And then just a brief little, according to NASA.com, which just brings me joy, specifically in reference to culture, pop culture, and the sun. The sun is obviously central to mythology and many religions, including the ancient Egyptians, the Aztecs of Mexico, Native American tribes of North and South America, the Chinese, and many others. And that might be my next week topic, honestly.
Obviously.
Because I could do a whole topic just about like the mythology of the sun and how it plays in different
think
religions.
that would be cool,
and
especially with like the Bast protecting the sun god, and there's so much
there's
there.
so many.
So good. You could also talk about Moon Knight.
Moon Knight.
He's a Marvel superhero.
Oh,
Who,
the white guy.
Aren't they all?
Not all of them. There's Black Panther
And the
and
new Captain America.
yeah,
Sam Wilson.
and Frozone from The Incredibles.
Yeah, him too. Let's just talk about Bucky Barnes.
Okay. Also, according to NASA.com, there have been many songs written about the sun, including the Beatles' Here Comes the Sun, Walking on the Sun by Smash Mouth, Ain't No Sunshine by Bill Withers, Walking on Sunshine by Katrina and the Waves, Pocket Full of Sunshine by Natasha Bedingfield, and Let the Sunshine In by The Fifth Dimension. I would also like to add You Are My Sunshine and...
You're mine too.
Aw, thank you. And there's also a Sheryl Crow song that now I can't remember the name of, but
It's a good one though.
it is a good one. So, Soak in the Sun.
We used to sing, whoa, this is why I can't have a microphone.
This is why she can't be a
Physical
professional
proof why I can't have a microphone. Take it away. We used to sing Walking on Sunshine because the school put in new carpet or something. And I said it felt like we were walking on sunshine, and then we walked around for the rest of our lives singing that song. And I'm so sorry the fact that you had to be friends with me.
detail of that, but I did remember the act of doing that. So I rushed through all of these sun facts and references to pop culture, mostly because I thought that part was funny. But mostly because what I really wanted to talk about is how the sun affects our health. So this week we had our first peak of sunshine and relative warmth that we've seen in Michigan in quite a while. combined with the fact that the sun is out longer because we're finally getting closer to spring. And I kept seeing this meme pop up on Facebook and all my friends' groups. It says, seasonal depression seems fake until it's above 30 degrees and sunny in February, and it feels like a choir of angels is singing as you walk up to the gates of heaven. And every year there is some variation of this. Like, I didn't believe seasonal depression was a thing until it was 30 degrees and sunny in February, and I suddenly felt the will to live again. Like, it's just this, if you don't live in the Midwest, if you don't live in a state that sees a ridiculous amount of gloom and doom for a long time, we are all on a little bit of dopamine this week just by having some warmer weather and some sunshine. We, in Michigan especially, and especially in West Michigan, we suffer through, 6+ months of late fall, winter, early spring where it is dark, not longer than it's light out, but it definitely feels like it because it's also really rainy and cloudy most of the time. So we get very little sunlight. And this episode will actually release just before, like the day before the spring equinox or the first day of spring, which I thought I had done a podcast about, but apparently I've only covered the solstices and not the equinoxes.
Get it together.
So we'll have to come back to that. And so with the arrival of spring comes the sound of many people putting away their seasonal antidepressants. I know until this is probably my first year I have gone without a antidepressant for the winter, but I would say a good percentage of the people I know start an antidepressant sometime in the fall leading into winter and stay on it until springtime. I learned in my research that we love sunshine, and the reason that we feel this improvement is because sunlight actually increases the serotonin in our brains. So if you go back to episode 49 from last May
I am
of Dungeons
so
and
impressed
Dopamine,
that you have that number.
I had to look it up, but I did look it up. That was the episode where I talked about feel-good brain chemicals, and we learned about serotonin, and I tried to go back to my notes to give you exactly what I said about serotonin, but surprise, all of my notes for that episode are gone. Just disappeared. Like, a third of my episodes that I had saved in Evernote are just gone. Like, the title of the episode is there, but all of the text is missing. So that's a problem for another day. Serotonin is responsible for regulating your mood, your sleep, your digestion, your sexual desire, things that, if you are struggling with them, are probably causing you some sort of depression, because if you have issues with your mood and your sleep and your digestion, then you are probably going to be feeling pretty low. So this is just something that can happen from not getting enough serotonin, which can be from not getting enough sunlight. The sun or your exposure to sunlight also affects your sleep cycles because it affects how much melatonin your body produces. So more sunlight equals less melatonin, therefore more darkness equals more melatonin. So you're more likely to feel tired and sluggish in the winter because your body is actively fighting against you by producing more melatonin because it thinks it's dark out already. Why should you not just be asleep?
Why aren't you sleeping?
And we now also know that exposure to sunlight increases your vitamin D levels, and low vitamin D is a very common issue in places like Michigan. Vitamin D has a lot of health benefits. It is key to absorbing calcium to maintain your bone health and strengthen your bones. It supports a healthy brain, heart, teeth, and lungs. It helps keep your immune system strong and can help regulate your insulin levels. And it also keeps your energy levels up and enhances your mood. There are also numerous newer studies that suggest low levels of vitamin D can be linked to health problems like diabetes, pain in your muscles and bones, high blood pressure, multiple sclerosis, and even some types of cancer.
Jeez.
They've also shown that children that receive vitamin D during the winter have a slightly reduced risk of influenza A, which is
nice.
Incredibly rampant this season.
Very, yes.
I do want to caution you before you listen to this and decide to up your vitamin D level. Make sure you get your level checked before you start any sort of supplements, because vitamin D, when you take vitamin D supplements, they are fat-soluble vitamins versus water-soluble. So your body doesn't just get rid of the extra like it does with water-soluble vitamins that you just pee out any extra that you don't need. The fat-soluble vitamins
Now
will
we
actually...
have to be rated PG-13.
Because I said pee.
How dare you?
I should have said potty.
They'll set you potty out. Thank you. Your potty mouth.
Or you eliminate. The waste you eliminate.
I hate that. I'm sorry, but I don't know why you do this with me every week.
So because it's fat soluble, your body will hold on to excess vitamin D, which can build up in your system and actually cause a vitamin D toxicity if you have too much. So don't just go all willy-nilly and like start taking 10,000 IUs of vitamin D because I suggested to you that it might be low.
And if you do, it was Bree that suggested it, not me.
Correct. Or, according to science, you can spend approximately 15 minutes a day getting some sunshine. This will be much easier in Michigan shortly, and I was actually surprised that the doctor recommended amount of sunshine is only about 15 minutes a day. So it's not like you have to be out there for 4 hours or like move your whole office outside so that you can be outside all day long.
Yeah.
Right. Even on the months that we don't get a ton of sunshine here, I feel like you could still get 15 minutes at least once a week.
Yeah.
And we'll go into other ways that you can get it too. But it's only 15 minutes, and this time estimate is kind of balanced between what is needed to get the increase in serotonin and vitamin D and the other benefits, but not become overly harmful because of the negative effects of sun exposure, which we'll talk about. Low levels of vitamin D can cause a bunch of really minor things like fatigue, moodiness, bone, joint, and muscle pain, but can also lead to osteoporosis, osteopenia, which is like brittle bones or like decaying or weakening bones. It is also suspected to cause allergies, eczema, and asthma in children, and in very severe cases can cause rickets or leg bowing.
Oh, wow.
And this was really common in the 1800s and late 1800s and early 1900s, especially as we became more industrialized and started living in cities, and people were just outside less, or they were in apartments that didn't necessarily have gardens or outside areas to hang out in. So that is actually when we started to figure out that vitamin D is necessary or exists and that our body needs it, but also that we get vitamin D from sunshine. If sometimes you'll stumble across old advertisements from like the 1920s and 30s for like baby cages that you could hang out your apartment window, and then you could like put your baby in there to nap, and so the baby could get fresh air and sunshine throughout the day.
I hate that so much.
I want one for me, like off my bedroom where there should be a balcony and there's not. I wish there was just like a room that stuck out a little bit that I could just lay there and nap in the sunshine. And just like a breeze comes through and you get 15 minutes of sunshine.
You're only like 2 or 3 stories high at that point, not like 16.
Right. And I'm not above pavement. It would be fine. Totally fine.
You could put a trampoline underneath it in case you fell.
See?
Problem solved.
We are problem solvers.
We're geniuses. Or idiots, but I don't prefer that term. So. Sorry.
Still talking about sunlight and sunshine. I have some WebMD facts. This website didn't provide like links to the research that they quote, so take some of this with a grain of salt. I don't have any scientific research to back it up. But, and this was kind of mentioned earlier, it says the risk of developing certain conditions such as multiple sclerosis and other autoimmune diseases may be higher in people who live in northern climates. So scientists think this might be linked to lower levels of vitamin D. So that's an actual, kind of proof that these issues can be caused by just living somewhere that doesn't get regular amounts of sunshine all the time. This one was especially interesting to me. It says morning light seems to help people keep the fat off. You need 20 to 30 minutes between 8 a.m. and noon to make a difference, but the earlier you get it, the better. Scientists think the sun's rays may actually shrink fat cells below your skin's surface. Plus, more sunshine means you're probably getting more exercise too, which might be related to the weight loss. But I guess there are studies out there that say like the time of sunlight can actually help you lose weight faster.
That's kind of crazy.
Moderate amounts of sun over your lifetime, especially in your teen and young adult years, might make you less likely to have problems seeing things at a distance. But obviously too much direct sunlight can hurt your eyes and can actually raise your chance of cataracts. And this one I did know, in addition to some skin issues, filtered sunlight can also be used to treat a condition called jaundice that mostly affects newborns. So when babies are born and their bilirubin is high and they look kind of yellow and jaundiced, they will give them basically happy light, which I'll talk about later too, but sunlight therapy baby blankets that have this little like sunlight lamp in them that they can snuggle. Super cute and weird. I also, while I was doing my research, found this kind of interesting article from 2008 that chronicles the history of the sun and how we related to it as human beings. And there are theories out there that believe that our skin has kind of evolved over time to not only deal with the sun or protect us from the sun, but get the benefits of it. So one theory says that all humans started with darker skin because it had more melanin in it. And that's, they could be outside more often because we didn't have shelter and all those things back when humanity first began. Because of the darker skin and the increased melanin, you're required to get more sunlight to get the same benefits or the same increases in like vitamin D. So people with darker skin should be in the sun longer than somebody with lighter skin because that's how they get more benefits.
So I shouldn't be in the sun at all?
Not at all. You get negative 2 minutes.
You have to hide in the cellar for 2 minutes a day.
Right. The theories of human evolution believe that we all started probably in Africa. Humans started in Africa and moved and evolved from there, so it would make sense that the melanin would be more prevalent and the skin would be darker because it's such a sunny landmass. But as people started kind of immigrating and migrating and moving to other land masses and starting other areas and moving to climates that were more snowy or rainy or just had less sunlight, our skin started to produce less melanin because we couldn't get as much vitamin D as we needed because it couldn't get through the skin's melanin. So we start to see, according to these theories, we start to see lighter skin colors because we were moving places that required us to get more vitamin D from the sun in quicker ways. As we became more industrialized or popularized and we started, spending more time with humans outside of our families and we started to wear clothes or we started to be in colder climates that required clothes, then we lose even more melanin because, again, the sun is fighting so hard, or our skin is fighting so hard to get the sunlight that it needs, that we become lighter and lighter because we're wearing more clothes, we're getting less sun, the climate is changing and all of these things. So then, it can only fight so hard, we start to develop things like rickets and bone issues because now we're living in these industrial societies that are inside all the time and people are working in factories and everybody's wearing clothes all the time and covering up their skin. And so that brings us to the 1920s and 1930s when they actually start to discover vitamin D and what it's useful for and where we get it from. So then starting in like the 30s, we have these decades where we essentially worship the sun. So we go from, lots of clothes and being covered up all the time to encouraging people to get outside, put your babies in these cages and hang them outside your apartment, get to the beach, get outside, you have to get this sunlight. And people start wearing smaller and smaller swimsuits and no one's using sunscreen. We're encouraged to use oil and bake our skins or our skin and just become these tanned, it becomes synonymous with wealth to be tan, to have tan skin and light hair and all of these things that mean that we're essentially worshiping the sun or trying to get as much sun as we can.
So cringe to hear now. I'm sorry I used the word cringe.
No, it's true.
It's so hard to hear that now that we know what we know. But it's I don't know, it makes my skin crawl almost to think about that.
Because now we know that the sun does a lot of damage to your skin, and we're reeling way back on the prescribing sunshine, basically. You used to be able to get prescriptions for tanning beds. If you really had the money, you could get a prescription from your doctor to get a tanning bed in your house. Or to go, people were using tanning salons all the time because we were told, oh, you got to get your base tan before you go to Florida in the winter. Or, oh, your psoriasis will get better if you go to the tanning bed, or your mood will be better if you get that little bit of sunlight. And now we know that tanning beds, number one, do a ton of harm to your skin. But also all those years we spent being sunburned every summer and letting our skin slough off did a lot of damage to our skin. And we're seeing tons of skin cancer nowadays, which is awful. And the 2008 paper did still kind of argue, and again, it was 2008, so just beginning probably the marketing towards using sunscreen and avoiding skin cancer. They still kind of argued that the risk of skin cancer is still lower than the risk of low vitamin D levels.
Wow.
So now that we know all the things that low vitamin D can cause, and the brittle bones and mood issues, mental health issues, increased cancer risks, all those things, they argue that those risks are worse than if you got basal cell skin cancer or even whatever the squamous cell skin cancer.
That's shocking.
Yeah. And I bet you could still find research either way. That was 2008, so I wouldn't believe it nearly as much now. I will tell you, like, tanning beds are the number one no-no from doctors right now. Do not use tanning beds. They're not worth any risk. But I also think, just in general, we have better technology nowadays. You can still go in the sun and you can get SPF 100.
That's what I use.
I know. And we have the knowledge of using sunscreen. You can buy shirts now that have SPF, and full body bathing suits, and big sun hats are in style, and sunglasses, and it's become kind of stylish to protect your skin and wear sunscreen and not look like a sunburned freak all the time. But we also now have access to technology like the happy lights or the they call them like sunshine therapy lights, and they're just little desk lamps basically that use a special type of bulb that mimics sunshine but takes out all the harmful rays that sunshine has. So when you're living through these monstrous Michigan winters and you can't get enough sunshine, you can just put a lamp on your desk and spend 15 minutes in front of it a day. I have one in my office hidey hole basement spot that I used to keep on my desk at the township, and people would come into my office and I'd have every other light in my office off except for this happy light that sat right next to me.
Did you feel it made a difference?
I did. And sometimes it was just like, it wasn't as good as looking outside and seeing the sunshine in my window.
Of course.
But just like being able to believe in my brain for a little bit that maybe there was sunshine in this world. Other risks for the sun include heat exhaustion and basically just anything that could get you overheated. But the main concerns from sunshine is obviously sunburns and then skin cancer. But we know now that it's also very important to get sunshine in your life. So if you are living somewhere in like Michigan and you feel like you're struggling with seasonal depression or having trouble with your mental health when it's cloudy and gross outside all the time, you are not alone. It is a very common thing in places like this, and now a very treatable thing, and can be proven that our mental health just suffers during the winter because we don't get enough sunshine, and therefore we don't get enough serotonin and other happy chemicals in our brain.
So what I'm hearing is that the government should give us money to go somewhere sunny every winter.
Yes, that sounds...
Also that we shouldn't wear clothes anymore.
That's is really where things started going downhill. Less clothes, more sunshine. And
Dungeons and Dopamines, just butts.
It all comes full circle.
And everyone has turned off this episode already.
They're like, oh, Bree's just talking about something crazy like sunshine again. Jessica's trying to get people naked.
Same old, same old. Same episode every time.
We're so predictable.
I want to do something ridiculous, but also we're being recorded now, so
right?
I better not.
No facials. No facial.
No sun tans.
Yeah, that too. I can't. Expression. No facial expression. We're being recorded.
This is my recording face.
The whole episode will just be us like this.
Staring at the camera though.
I can't do it.
I've never been able to do it. Actually, in high school, I used to have people who would yell my name, and then when I turned to look at them, they would count how long it took me to smile.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
So get naked.
Get naked.
Don't
go to tanning beds, but get some sunshine. 15 minutes a day.
So I was told that I should do Mothman, and I couldn't. And I didn't. So turn it off right now if that's what you're expecting to hear.
Sorry, Amy. Nothing for you.
Sorry, bestie.
Isn't she great?
Yes, she's also the one I sold you for.
Oh,
I broke up with you to be besties.
I forgot about that. Where is she then?
She's at work. Working.
She's
Probably without her clothes on. Sorry, Amy. Amy is not naked right now, as far as I know.
You don't know.
But yes, I do. We're best friends.
Good point. Sorry. I always know when you're naked.
Exactly. It's the little alarm that goes off in my head. I hope she's at home. She's nude.
What an awful sense to have. It's like one of those awful magic powers or awful superpowers.
One of those curses. You'll forever know when your friend is nude.
Just a tingling
She
feeling.
just said she was going to the bathroom. What is she doing?
It's like a spidey sense.
Hair stands on end.
No, not again. Stop. Her hands on. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
What are you doing? You're showing a house today.
And then it's worse for the friend. Like, every time she does, husband comes home in the middle of the day. He's like, hey. And you're like, no, I can't. Jessica will know.
Yep. So yes, I was requested to do Mothman, and for some reason I just could not focus on Mothman this week. So he's still on my list. Anyway, so this is a story that is a mystery, and then it gets answers, and the answers leave you with more questions.
Oh, no.
So you're gonna love it.
So it's going to be great.
It's gonna be wonderful. This is the story of the Somerset man. In 1948, on a beach in Australia, there was a man lying on the beach, his head propped up on the seawall, and his feet crossed. So very comfortable position. And he was spotted by a couple who reported him as deceased on December 1st, 1948.
Bummer.
Good year. But yes, bummer. Except we do have this story now to tell. So
yay!
thanks, Somerset man. He's dead. He can't hear me.
You don't know.
Fair enough. I've done enough ghost stories to know that I shouldn't be questioning this. You're right. A few other people reported later on having seen the man and thought he was sleeping. He looked very comfortable there. When the police got there and found him, they found a half-smoked cigarette that had fallen onto his collar. In his pockets, they found an unused second-class rail ticket, so a train station ticket that was unused, a bus ticket, a aluminum comb that was manufactured in the States, which is apparently, I don't know, something.
Okay.
Some juicy fruit gum, and an Army Club cigarette packet, which had different cigarettes of different brands inside of it.
Interesting.
I almost feel like that's somebody who was like bumming them off of people as he walked around, or what? Which back in the 40s, they still thought it was like healthy to do that. Ugh.
Probably getting all the sunshine they wanted to.
That's right, sunshine and cigarettes.
Yay, 40s.
Loved that for them. Some articles claimed that his face had decomped so much that you couldn't really get a good face, but then some are claiming that they made a really good plaster cast of the man, so you could kind of get an idea of his face, which kind of corroborates more with the rest of the story.
Okay.
But if you think back to the 1940s, you know that mysteries were bad back then, and a mystery man on the beach looks very suspicious just because it's the 40s. The man was 5'11". He was gray-eyed. He had blonde ginger hair with a little bit of gray. This
sounds very attractive.
Yeah, right? Especially for you with the red hair.
And the blue eyes.
And the blue, yeah.
Gray blue.
Gray blue.
Same
And
thing.
he's not too tall.
Yeah.
So.
Perfect height.
But he's dead.
Damn it.
But he might still be able to hear you, so you're welcome to talk to him.
Hey, Somerset man.
He actually does get better, though. Okay, so the people believed because of the appearance he was in his 40s. He was a really fit man with kind of that triangle-shaped torso body that the broad shoulders and like the lean waist. But what the man really had was legs.
Ooh. Love me some good legs.
Specifically wrote in my notes, this man did not skip leg day. He had incredibly strong calves with big muscles. And then one weird thing is that he had like pointed toes, almost as if he wore like high heels or something.
Okay.
Found wearing
high heels.
High heels. He was not a man at all.
Really? Why they suspected him of wearing them?
They were ace detectives. This man wears high heels because of the shapes of his toes as they take a stiletto off of his foot. Yes.
That's exactly.
I guess I should I want to note also that his legs and his feet were consistent with that of a ballet dancer. Oh. So the point shoes, and then the muscles in your calves, because ballet dancers, people might laugh at them, but they could probably beat you up for it.
For sure. 100%.
He was wearing a white shirt, a red, white, and blue tie, brown trousers, socks and shoes, a brown knitted pullover, and a fashionable gray, brown double-breasted jacket.
Okay.
None of those are strange in themselves. It sounds very 1940s. But all of the tags were cut out of his clothing. So he was autistic.
He had sensory issues.
But actually, this is something connected with a lot of mysterious death cases in people they believe were spies. Which now we're, again, 1940s, Cold War. We love
spy time.
Spy time. I wrote on here, throwback to the Cold War crazies. I have a lot of really ridiculous notes in here.
I had some great ones this week, too.
You did. I was impressed that you started off with They Might Be Giants. One last thing I want to point out about the man was his teeth. And I don't know exactly which ones are which. And you can't tell in my mouth because I've had teeth removed so that they could be straight. Thanks, Mom and Dad. But he only had incisors and canines in his mouth. Okay. Where you normally have lateral incisors, then your incisors, then your canines. But they were just missing. Like, he was genetically without those. He was also missing some of his molars, but those had very clearly been pulled. You know, you can see that damage in your mouth once you have that kind of a thing happen. But the others were just not there. Yeah. So even though he had this super rare physical anomaly that people would have noticed speaking to him, they could not identify the guy. He didn't have anything on him. He didn't have his wallet. He didn't have anything that would identify him.
Dentists existed by then.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And dental records. Yeah. They specifically mentioned in one of the articles I read that they tried to do dental records and nothing.
Interesting.
They also couldn't figure out how he died. They found a lot of blood in his tummy, which is consistent. Yes, tummy. Which is consistent.
Jessica would make what it says in my notes.
Your tummy is full of blood. You're gonna die. Sucker.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry. Sucker.
I accept.
This is the kind of doctor we need. I need to just make doctor money.
Then you could sponsor the podcast.
Yes, because Disney's not stepping up. Anyway, that is actually very consistent with poisoning.
Okay.
But they couldn't find any poison in his system. And any poison that would have killed him and worked that quickly should still be in his system. They could even detect his last meal. They knew he had pasties, not the but the delicious pocket food.
Right.
That's very popular in Michigan.
The pocket food.
9 days later, they embalmed him and buried him. They couldn't do anything else with him. No one was coming forward. Before they did that, they did bring in a taxidermist to make a plaster cast of him. Which I thought was super weird.
That makes a lot more sense with your previous statements now.
No, it's still weird.
True.
They circulated this guy's pictures. They ended up circulating it worldwide, and no one said a word about him being missing or anything. One short note, in 1959, someone did report to the police that day that he had died, they saw someone carrying a man over their shoulder on that beach. But that was...
But didn't think to mention it until nearly 10 years later.
Right. And especially after the guy circulated the picture and the story. And
oh, that looks like that dead body I saw.
Funny. The guy was screaming, help me, they're going to kill me, I ate some pasties. Sorry. Please stop watching this immediately. About 6 weeks after this, there was finally a break in the case. Some railway station employees found a suitcase in a locker.
Ooh.
And it very, very much looks like it was his. It had been in their coat room since November 30th, the day that the man's train ticket was for. Unused, but still. But no one could remember the man who dropped it off.
Which seems silly because it sounds like he was a very attractive,
Or-
like his physique
yes.
was probably noticeable.
And the
his
unique
teeth were weird.
Yeah.
Like,
Very strange. All of the clothes that were in there were missing their tags in the suitcase. They were missing their tags. And some of them had been stitched with the same orange thread that his clothes that he was wearing had been stitched with.
okay.
One cool thing is that on the clothes, just a few pieces of them, there was a name, T. Keen.
Okay.
So they were kind of excited about that, but no one with the name T. Keen or anything like that had been reported missing. Because of course not.
Well, then you wouldn't be talking about it. So.
Right, yeah, true. Police did have reason to believe that these clothes had been purchased secondhand. They didn't quite fit the man, they were a little large, etc., etc. But it's still really annoying.
And that makes sense then why the tags might have been cut off. If he
Yes.
was thrifting them or getting them out of dumpsters or
if
something.
he didn't want them to be traced.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he was murdering people and stealing their clothes.
And spying on the Russian government, or for the Russian government.
All those things.
All of it. One other interesting thing they found in the suitcase was a stenciling kit. This is something that someone who worked on a ship might have to stencil onto crates. But they also found like cards and things in his suitcase and envelopes and stamps. So he might have just been making cards as well.
Right.
That really didn't lead us anywhere. So
So,
Good
yeah,
break.
maybe if he was like a wanderer, then it was just like stuff that he
Right.
found that he used, not necessarily.
if he's jumping ship to ship, maybe just getting what work he could on those ships, and
Yeah,
you know, I'm a deckhand. I can stencil on the
yeah, makes sense to me.
yeah. But this led them nowhere. The case went semi-cold again, and about 5 months after his body was discovered, there was a pathology professor who was examining his clothing. Found a hidden pocket in his pants.
Ooh.
Inside of this hidden pocket was a little slip of paper that had been torn out of a book. On that piece of paper were 2 words, Tamam Shud.
Tamam should.
Those are the final 2 words in a 900-year-old book of Persian poetry called the Rubaiyat.
Rubaiyat.
Tamam Shud is a Persian term that can be translated as full up, fed up, or it is the end.
Ooh.
Which is really creepy to find in someone's pants when they've died.
Right.
It'd be creepy to find in someone's pants if they weren't dead. Why do you have their pants?
Why are you going through their pants?
So many questions.
Why do they
that
have a
aren't answered.
900-year-old book? Oh, okay.
Now I did find out that this book was actually really popular.
Okay. Weird.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It blew my mind. Whatever. Now they had a little something to go on because there was a book out there with the last 2 words ripped out of it somewhere, and they found it.
What?
I know.
I was like, I guess that could lead them somewhere.
I can't imagine someone being like, "Oh yes, I'm missing," or we found a Sarah Moss book quote in "Live Manon" in someone's pocket, and we need the book that
We
it
need
came
the
from.
specific book that it was ripped out of.
I'd be like, why would they do that to their
Those monsters!
But a businessman in the area brought the book into police and told them the story that one day he was visiting his brother-in-law, and they parked the car. It was so warm out that they kept the windows down, and they walked out a little ways into town to go shopping. And when he came back to his car, the book was in the back seat.
Oh, weird.
Right. Which, by the way, the 40s were a different time, because if there was a book like that in my backseat, it would have immediately found a garbage can.
Right?
Not like, oh, this is very interesting. I wonder what someone is trying to tell me. No, I would think someone is trying to murder me.
Garbage.
Immediately assume so. And I'd probably only pick it up by the corner. I put, side note, why were you not totally freaked out by this?
Why did you just hang on to this and then bring it to the cops 5 months later?
One really weird thing is that he found the book on 11/20, which was 10 days before the man's body was found.
Mm-hmm. And 10 days before his train ticket.
Yes. So weird. Now, the police took the book and they noticed that there was something on the back cover. I believe it was the back cover. So they looked at it under UV light and found 2 phone numbers. Yay, something.
Ooh.
And a secret code. And I wrote, bum, bum, bum. One phone phone number was a total dead end. It went to a business, and the people at the business were like, yeah, we have no idea who you're
This
talking
sounds
about.
weird, man.
But the second number went to a woman named Jo Thompson, who was also known as Jessica.
Interesting.
Yes. And Justin. Yeah, weird, right?
Jessica and Justin.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 different names, but Jo lived really close to this beach, and when they found that out, they asked her to come down and take a look at the plaster cast of the man that they had found. She did, and said she didn't know him, but the taxidermist was there and said that she reacted physically. She looked like she was going to pass out when she saw the plaster cast. She did admit at that point that she had met a man named Alfred Boxall, and she had given him a copy of the Rubaiyat when he went to war. I guess it was a thing that, like, the nurses and whoever would give gifts to the soldiers when they went to war as, like, a token of respect and good luck and make sure you come back kind of thing. So the police got really excited.
Yeah.
Like, we found our dude.
Yeah.
This is amazing. So they tried to track down his family to tell them that he was deceased, but he was alive.
Oh.
And he had his copy of the book that Jo gave him with no pages missing.
What?
Right? So that was a dead end. But at least they still had the code, right? No. The code...
Codes are never a good idea.
Nope. To this day, the code has not been cracked.
They should put it with the Voynich manuscript.
That's what I wrote in here. The answer is probably in the Voynich manuscript. This man knew the secrets of the Voynich manuscript, and they killed him and placed him on the beach to hide it.
You're right.
I know.
We solved it again.
We're so good at this.
We're the best.
So anyway, I'm sorry, I got very excited. To sum this part of this all up, they found a guy on the beach that they can't identify who has ties to people who can't be identified back to him. All of the tags were off of his clothes, and he has a code in a book that he put in a car 10 days before he died. The heck?
And the book has a woman's phone number on it who used to have a copy of the book that she gave to somebody who's not dead and still has this copy of the book.
Yeah.
So how did her number get on the new copy of another book?
Right. How did he know? And what's the chances that...
She had 2 copies of the book. She's the murderer.
She did it! I mean, she does have 3 different names. So...
Very sus.
I know that's really far-fetched. However, Jo's own daughter came forward and said she believed her mom was a Russian spy. She, one day, after many years of, obviously, her being her mother, she just spoke Russian. And when she asked her, how do you know Russian? She said, that's for me to know. And then there's
not telling.
Exactly. There is also rumor that she told her daughter that she knew who he was, but she couldn't tell them.
And she had that physical reaction.
Exactly.
He totally was a Russian.
Right? So, remember back to his very strange teeth. There was a professor in the 90s who kind of got obsessed with the case because it's clearly there's a lot to think about here.
Right.
I mean, we've obviously solved it, but there's a lot to think
but
about
I can
here.
see why other people wouldn't.
Yeah, why they wouldn't put all this together. He examined the plaster cast of the man and found that he had a strange anomaly with his ear that's very rare in Caucasian people. And it's just about the sizes of 2 different parts of your ear. And his was an anomaly. He also had the teeth thing. So he said, genetically, it would be really rare for anyone else to have this who wasn't directly related to him, to Mystery Man. Plot twist, Jo's son had those same anomalies.
What?
He also grew up to be a ballet dancer.
Do we know who Jo's baby daddy is?
We're supposed to believe that it's her husband.
Liar.
Right? So this professor got really excited, and he called the man, and he said, hey, can I get a DNA sample from you? I just want to test it. And the man had died 2 months earlier.
No. So they exhumed the body and got the DNA.
They did nothing.
Jerk.
But
Can
the
we
professor...
exhume the body?
No. With our shovels. What did I name them? Petra and something else. I don't remember. But the good news is this man had a daughter.
Okay.
So the or a granddaughter. I don't remember. I think it was a daughter. Despite whatever, the DNA test revealed that it was Jo's husband DNA in her, not Mystery Man's. So
brother?
right? Or I don't know. I have no idea. I'm so lost. Then, in 2021, they solved the case. Which you did not expect me to say.
No, I did not.
they finally exhumed the body of Mystery Man. Right? And found that it was a man named...
Oh! Solved.
That's all they cared about. Oh, just a man.
It's just a man.
A man named Carl Webb. He went by Charles. He was born in 1905. He eventually married a woman named Dorothy, who filed for divorce in 1947. I swear this is relevant. Because he disappeared on her.
Oh!
He went missing. There were no public records of him after the divorce. None. It auto-corrected his name to Carly in my tablet, which makes sense, but also
makes it weird.
Yes. Another link to Carl is that he had a brother-in-law named Thomas Keene. T. Keene.
Yep.
Which was in the clothing that was the wrong size.
Yep.
For Beachman, the Somerset man. No one knows where Carl was for those months between the divorce and the death, and no one knows how he died. No one knows why there was no reported death or missing or what's going on with that. There's also no pictures of him that they can find right now. They've reached out to family and friends and no one can get a picture of him, which in the 40s would be kind of weird.
Right.
Like the late 40s especially.
Yeah.
Some final thoughts?
Like he cleared out all of his family photos before he took off.
Right.
Russian spy.
Russian spy. That is actually my theory.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's... Anyway, okay. Final thoughts. Just some theories that are running around in the world. Carl got into some nefarious business in 1946 or 47 and had to leave for his family's safety. He left. He went somewhere for those, I think it was like 18 months or something like that. And then they caught up to him and killed him. Mm-hmm. Carl was a huge, I wrote asshat, who hurt his wife, who ran away. And then Carl went on the hunt for her to try and find her. That Joe maybe was a friend of his wife's. And he found out that maybe his wife had talked to Joe or suspected that maybe she had gone to Joe. And that's why Joe's number was in a book.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Joe wouldn't identify him, because she was protecting her friend. All just theories. Perhaps he went to sea for a time. Why wouldn't you tell your wife you were leaving to go to sea? But the stencil kit kind of led a lot of people to believe so. Apparently he liked to race horses, so the tracking code or the code in the book might have just literally been him tracking horses.
Oh, fair.
Those are the theories that I found, but I think that the whole case is so weird.
And how, like, none of that explains the genetic match.
Yes.
Like the weird gene thing with the ear
and the
teeth.
Yes.
And that matching Joe's.
Yes. And the ballet. I mean, what are the chances that this boy would have had the same anomalies that were very rare, plus become a dancer? Like, I mean, dancing is about skill, but sometimes having the body type helps.
Yeah. Or if his mom had a secret lover or a brother or someone that she looked up to who had been a ballet dancer and encouraged her son, oh, I bet you'd like ballet. Your Uncle Somerset man sure did.
Exactly. Your Uncle Carl. I don't know why the name has to come out like that all the time. Carl. But yeah, it's so weird. I got so enthralled by the case.
That's so cool.
I did find Joe Scott. I said Joe Olson. Joe Scott has a YouTube channel. He explained this so well. It was beautifully done. I did, I checked out a couple articles as well. Went on Wiki, all the normals. But he really, really summed this up beautifully. He also had a lot of fun details in it that I didn't have time for. And he was hilarious. which is great. Yes, which probably why I was so spunky in my stuff that I wrote. But really interesting case. And I just don't think we were at the bottom. Like, I know they solved it, but I just don't think we made it to the bottom of it.
I don't think it's all there. There are some key facts missing.
It's crazy. And maybe it is all just a big coincidence.
I mean, wild stuff happens, but...
And how did he die?
Yeah.
It really breaks my brain.
Poison that no one can detect that he got from his secret service in the Russian spy government.
He bit a pill. Mm-hmm. Said Hail Hydra and died.
That's exactly how it happened. I was there.
I knew it! You're a Russian spy.
Surprise!
You're supposed to say da.
Oops, sorry.
You are a terrible Russian spy. You're a terrible Russian.
True.
I just want to close out our episode, but I don't know the words.
I forgot we do that. So I was like,
I forgot we
what
would.
is she so interested in?
Not you.
Why is she so addicted to her phone?
Why doesn't she just put it down for the 2 hours we record?
Gosh, Jessica. So this was Dungeons and Dopamine Podcast.
You can listen. I'm a kazoo. I'm so sorry. You can listen to us anywhere you stream podcasts. Not that you would.
But you could.
And on YouTube.
You can also support us on Patreon at www.patreon.com/dungeonsdopamine. We obviously need it.
We need everything we can get.
We'll use it towards mental health help.
Exactly. Happy lights.
Happy lights for everybody.
You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Insta, Reddit, Twitch, and Discord.
You can also reach out to us on any of those social media options, and also at dungeonsdopamine@yahoo.com.
Yep. Dungeons and Dopamine. Wow, why did that seem weird? Dungeons and Dopamine is edited and published by Argyle Pigeon Productions. And we thank God for that, because otherwise
we wouldn't exist.
And these episodes would just be raw like this and terrible.
You guys are so lucky.
So,
Ryan
we should all thank
is here to
Ryan.
help you.
We should make a Patreon for just Ryan. People would pay him to...
He'd get so much more support than us.
Although, technically, I edit out the content.
True.
So...
I would be screwed if you weren't around.
You'd just be like, I'm Dungeons. Episode 9256.
The internet would know so many secrets about me.
Alright, that's all. We gotta go.
Thank goodness.
I love
love
you.
you.
Okay, love you. Bye.